It is March 11, 2011. Somewhere in the North Pacific, a cargo ship is having an uneventful afternoon. Small waves, maybe 3 feet tall. The crew logs nothing unusual. Below deck, engines run. On the bridge, nothing worth noting. At that same moment, 50 miles toward the Japanese coastline, the same ocean is doing something else entirely. The same wave, moving through the same water, is arriving on shore as a wall of destruction 60 feet tall. It will kill 18,000 people in under an hour. It will cripple the Fukushima nuclear plant and will erase towns that had stood for centuries. The ship's crew never even knew they were sailing directly over it. That is not luck. That is physics. When most people hear the word tsunami, one image arrives immediately. A wall of water, massive, vertical, visible for miles, rolling toward shore like something from a disaster film. That is the intuitive version. It is also almost entirely wrong, at least for most of the wave's actual life. A tsunami in open ocean is 1 to 3 feet tall. That is not a typo. 1 to 3 feet. The wavelength, the distance from one crest to the next, runs between 100 and 300 miles. The wave is so long, so gradual, so spread across the surface that a ship sailing through it registers almost nothing. It reads more like a slow tide shift than a wave at all. The danger isn't in the height, it's in what's underneath. Here's what's actually happening. The open Pacific is, in many places, close to 30,000 feet deep. When a tsunami forms, typically from a massive undersea earthquake shifting the sea floor, the energy doesn't pile up at the surface. It distributes itself across the entire water column, all 30,000 feet of it. The surface barely moves because the energy isn't concentrated there. It's everywhere below. But that energy is moving. Fast. A tsunami in deep water travels between 500 to 600 miles per hour, faster than a commercial aircraft at cruising speed. The 2011 Tohoku wave crossed the open Pacific at that speed, and ships in its path felt almost nothing. A gentle rise and fall, gone in minutes. The energy passing beneath those hulls was catastrophic. The ocean above it was nearly calm, and this is where the whole thing inverts. The deeper the water, the faster and more powerful the tsunami, and the safer it is for any ship at the surface. That is not intuition. That is the opposite of intuition. The danger begins when the wave reaches shallow water. As the ocean floor rises toward a coastline, the bottom of the water column slows down first. The energy has nowhere to go horizontally, so it goes up. This is called wave shoaling, and it is one of the most violent energy transformations in nature. A wave 3 feet tall in 30,000 feet of water can become 30, 60, 100 feet tall in 100 feet of water. Same energy, radically different result. The wave didn't get more powerful, it got compressed. A ship's position within the ocean, not the wave itself, determines everything. When a tsunami warning activates in a port, the protocol is not to shelter in place. It is not to wait and see. The order to ships in harbor is to leave immediately and head out into open water, directly toward the source of the wave. To anyone outside the maritime world, that sounds insane. A massive destructive wave is inbound, and the instruction is to sail toward it at full speed. But the captains who follow that order are not being reckless. They are doing the only rational thing available to them. A ship at anchor when the surge arrives is finished. The harbor concentrates and funnels the energy, mooring lines snap, the vessel gets thrown into infrastructure at dozens of miles per hour. A ship 50 miles offshore rides the same energy as a routine swell. The safest move when the most destructive wave on Earth is approaching is to race toward open sea and get over it before the water gets shallow. The captains who do this aren't being brave, they're being correct. This is not theory. The physics has been validated in some of the largest ocean events in recorded history. In 1960, a 9.5 magnitude earthquake off Chile The largest earthquake ever measured generated a tsunami that crossed the entire Pacific at 442 miles per hour. 22 hours later, it reached Japan. 142 people were killed onshore. Ships in the open Pacific reported nothing unusual. No damage, no significant swells logged. The wave that crossed an entire ocean basin went effectively undetected by every vessel it passed beneath. Then, 2011, Tohoku. Same physics, better documentation. Ships more than 50 miles offshore reported swells of 2 to 3 feet. Onshore, the wave peaked above 40 feet in some inlets. 18,000 people died. The Fukushima Daiichi plant suffered a meltdown. The ships in deep water felt a swell they could have slept through. Same wave, different depth, entirely different outcome. The open Pacific looks featureless from a ship's deck. It is anything but. Anchored to the seafloor at strategic points across the Pacific Basin is a network of pressure sensors called DART buoys, deep ocean assessment and reporting of tsunamis. These instruments do not detect surface waves. They detect the pressure signature of a tsunami moving through the deep water column. When the wave passes overhead, the sensor registers a minute but measurable change in water pressure. That reading is transmitted to a surface buoy, relayed to satellite, and processed into a warning within minutes of the wave's formation, sometimes before the earthquake has even finished. The entire early warning system that triggers coastal evacuations is built around reading a wave no ship crew has ever visibly noticed. The same invisible deep ocean energy that makes open sea ships safe is the exact property that makes early detection possible. The threat the ocean hides from sailors is the threat the sensor network is specifically designed to find. Most people visiting a harbor have walked past the signs without reading them. Blue tsunami evacuation route markers. Arrows pointing inland and uphill. They look like routine civic infrastructure, the kind of thing posted for liability and never actually used. Those signs are the product of real run-up data. Every arrow reflects a calculation about where historical and modeled waves have reached, based on actual events, actual measurements, actual casualties. The wide, flat breakwaters at harbor entrances that look like storm management structures, they are partly that, but their geometry is also designed to slow and disperse surge energy. The depth charts port captains use to navigate outbound in an emergency mark more than navigation hazards. They mark the line between compression and open water. None of these clues announces itself, but they are all artifacts of the same invisible wave. The rule, deep water equals safe, is real, but it has edges. Several vessels were lost in 2011, not at sea. In harbors, river mouths, and shallow coastal bays where the surge was funneled and amplified beyond prediction. Certain bay geometries, particularly narrow V-shaped inlets, can concentrate wave height dramatically beyond what standard shoaling models suggest. The energy reads the coastline's shape and responds to it. In some locations, run-up in 2011 exceeded 60 feet, more than double what the open water wave height would have implied. And a ship that receives a warning too late, already deep inside a harbor with shallow approach channels and not enough time to clear them, is in genuine danger. The protocol works when there is time. When there isn't, the same physics that protects vessels at sea delivers its full consequence to whatever is anchored in the wrong position. Go back to that cargo ship. March 11, 2011, 3-foot swell, nothing logged, engines running, crew unaware. At that exact moment, the same energy moving beneath that hull is doing something incomprehensible 50 miles away. The ocean that looks calm from the deck is the same ocean killing 18,000 people onshore. The threat and the safety exist simultaneously, same wave, same energy, separated not by any meaningful human distance, but by the depth of water underneath. The most destructive wave the modern world has documented was, for most of its journey, invisible. It crossed an ocean at jet speed beneath ships that never knew it was there. It only became a wall of water when the ocean ran out of room for the energy to hide. That cargo ship wasn't in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was in exactly the right place. and the only thing standing between that crew's unremarkable afternoon and what happened on shore was 30,000 feet of open water. Tsunamis are not the only waves where the real danger is invisible until it isn't. Rogue waves, single walls of water that emerge from an otherwise calm open ocean with almost no warning, are a different problem entirely. They don't follow the same physics. They don't behave by the same rules. And, unlike tsunamis, being in deep open water offers no protection from them whatsoever. That is a different story, and the way it starts will permanently change how the open ocean looks from any deck.